Hey everyone, it's finally Friday. I love Friday night. Not only because tomorrow is like the weekend, but also because I genuinely enjoy doing these live streams, especially the Friday one. But today we're gonna do something different. So, first of all, how are you guys? Hope you had a fantastic week. And what the hell did I do here? Okay, I just went to wireframe. Yeah, so I hope you guys had a fantastic week. I didn't have like the best week, but yeah, it was fine. So we're gonna talk about something. Um, because every Friday we make a lure, right? But I don't show you what happens after I make a lure. So usually I make a lure and then I spend like 2 or 3 days trying to perfect it um, when I have time. But yeah, so we were gonna talk about something that hopefully will help you print better lures. Um, yeah, and what we're gonna talk about is lure volume and density, and how can this help us? We're gonna figure it out in a bit. So if you watch, for example, like Marlin Bates or any of the other lure makers on YouTube who make lures out of wood, right? They make lures out of wood, and most of the time they just work. And that's because of the wood. When we 3D print a lure, we're using plastic, and we can actually see if we go here, for example, let's say to this lure, we can see that this, for example, is 1.24 grams of material. Jakob, hi, how are you? How's your week? So this lure is 1.24 grams, but if we go here and check its volume, it's 2,900 cubic millimeter, but what we're looking for is cubic centimeters. So that's 2.9 cubic centimeters. So if we divide that, so 1.24 divided by, what was it, 2.9, I think. So we get a density of 0.42. This is actually good. Um, Not too good. We'll talk about why. We're gonna go and check what is the density of each type of wood and how we can simulate that using plastic. Jakob says he had a good week, so that's great. Good to hear. Yeah, so this one has a density of 0.4 grams. So if we go here and just search on Google wood density gram per cubic centimeters, and let's look at these numbers. So we said that it's they don't have everything here. Wood jury, they don't have much. Let's go to images. Let's see this one. Yeah, so if you see, 0.4 is not the heaviest wood, but it's also not light. So if you look, usually these kinds of lures that are super small, like this is 3 centimeters, that's nothing. These kinds of lures are usually made out of balsa wood. And if we check balsa wood, that's 0.1. That is insanely low. So that's why it's super hard to get a good action out of um, these small lures. Yeah, and we can also check this other one right here. Let's see, this one right here says that it's 2.3 cubic centimeters, and if we check the preview, it's actually 1 gram. So that's 1 divided by 2.3. This is 0.4, the same. So that's in the like regular wood territory. I think basswood is also 0.4. Whoops, what did I do here? So if we open this again, there was a better chart if I can find it. Scotch pine, beech, whatever. Balsa wood. Okay, this one says it's 0.3 and the other one says it's 0.1. Oak wood 0.8. Okay, so it's between 0.1 and 0.4, let's say. Usual wood. Softwood. So hardwood is between 0.3 and 0.5. Softwood is between 0.2 and 0.34. So let's come here and add a note for ourselves. Let's say it's called wood density, and this one is a header. So softwood is between, let's say, 0.15, let's call it, and what was it, 0.3? Yeah, 0.3. And then hardwood, it's between 0.3 and 0.5. Let's say like that. And we can make it fancy, like make this one bold. Okay, and I guess we can preview it somehow. Markdown. Okay. So this is wood density. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go over my lures and figure out what do we need to do. Or let's go this way. We will open a bunch of lures one by one and check out like the volume and what is the perfect weight for the plastic to make it suitable to have a great action. Like it, and this depends. If it's a small lure, then I want it to be somewhat near this value as a softwood. And if it's a big lure, then maybe we can use hardwood. It doesn't matter that much. So between, let's say, 0.2 and 0.4 is what I'm aiming for. Yeah, so we can start, for example, with this 3 centimeter crankbait, which is the one I'm trying to make work. This one. So I'm not so concerned about the lip. And first, what do we want? Like, what is our goal, right? Our goal is we want it, let's say, floating. We want it to float, so it should float. What else? It should be very light, so it should be a light wood, something in the softwood territory. Let's say these are our 2 goals. And let's write down some specs. So volume. Our volume is what? The volume of the body itself. Actually, we need to calculate 2 volumes. So let's say the plastic volume and the total volume. So the total volume will help us figure out what is the total weight that we need for it to float or sink. And the plastic volume is for us to emulate wood, basically, to make it as close as possible to wooden lures. Okay, so we'll start with plastic volume because this is the easiest. So that's our lure selected in Blender with all the booleans, all the boolean modifiers applied or not applied, I mean like in place. If we calculate the volume now, we're gonna get 2. Again, this is cubic millimeters, even though it says meters here. Trust me, it is millimeters. And to change it to cubic centimeters, we just divide by 1,000, so that's 2.16. So the plastic volume is 2.16 cubic centimeter, or we can just say centimeter 3. Okay. And the total volume, now to calculate the total volume, we're gonna have to, first of all, I'm gonna save. And then I will remove all the Boolean modifiers. This can take a second, so bear with me. And again, the total volume is gonna help us figure out if it's gonna float or sink, but this is at the end. Like this is when we're adding the weights. So yeah, everything is removed. Now calculate the volume. So the volume is 2.5 plus we can also calculate the volume of the lip. So we can also remove these. Oh wait, no, that's not gonna work. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add these together, make them one body, and now calculate the volume. So the total volume now is 2.9. So yeah, just remove this. 2.93. Just add a note here with the lip. Okay, so when we assemble the lure and clear coat it and everything, we want the total weight. If we want it to float, we want it to be less than this number, right? But the plastic alone, we want it to be a fraction of this number. That could be half, 0.4, 0.3. This is what we will define in a bit. So here I can go back to the last save. Okay, nice. So why do we need to do all these calculations? Well, first, it will help us determine what type of plastic to use, and like PLA, ABS, PETG, whatever, because each plastic has different density. And also, it will determine how can we print the lure, and I'll get to that in a bit, because for this specific lure, we're gonna reach a point where it's basically not possible to achieve the density that I want in this configuration. We might need to do a through wire, which is basically what you would do if you were using balsa, right? If you were using balsa wood, you would cut like 2 pieces, put a through wire between them, and then sandwich them together. And I'll tell you why in a bit. So these are the specs that we have right now. I don't have much. So, okay. So what do we need to do to make it float and should be, let's say here, should be as light as balsa, right? So these are our 2 goals. This is what we have. So how do we achieve this? First of all, let's start with it should float, right? So here, total weight after assembly and adding hooks must be less than 2.93 grams. So that's the total weight. Now, the other goal, it should be as light as balsa. So how do we get that? Plastic weight of the body, and I'm only talking about the body, not the lip, because usually when you make a balsa lure, you don't make the lip out of balsa, right? Usually it's polycarbonate or whatever. So plastic should be fine. But of course, when we're printing the lip, we need to take into consideration that the total weight must be less than this. So there's nothing here regarding the lip. So we're only talking about the body. The plastic weight of the body should be, balsa, we checked it and it was between 0.1 to 0.2. So let's say 0.2 is acceptable for now. So it should be 20% of the plastic volume, which is, let's see, it's 2.16. We want 20% of that, so multiply by 0.2. So we want the plastic to be 0.443 grams, which is insanely low. That's how light balsa is. And no matter what you try to do here, I don't know if you'll be able to get it to 0.4. Like at the moment, I'm using ABS, which is light. It's a lot lighter than PLA or PETG. I'm using a 0.2 nozzle and 3 wall loops and 0 infill, and I'm getting 1.5, but 1.5 with the supports. Without the supports, it's about 0.8. So let's say the supports are 1.5 minus 0, about 0.2 grams. So if we remove this, it's already 0.8, but it's gonna be super, it's gonna be very, very brittle. So it might break very easily. And the screw eyes or the twist wires might just pull up or split the lure in half when you catch a fish. So as you can see, this is not very feasible this way. So how do we do that? So I was researching and I found a way where we can achieve these small values. And that is, it's a type of filament that is usually used for model airplanes and stuff like that. So if we go to filament, there are many versions of it. Like, for example, we have ASA, which is basically similar to ABS. So SA Aero, it's about like 50 euros. You can find it from different brands. Usually they call it lightweight, PLA lightweight, for example, like Color Fab. What else? I guess many companies make it, like Polylite. But anyways, and the way it works is, you can see here someone made like a fishing float using this. John, how are you? How was your week? We're talking about how to give lures specific actions based on the density of wood. So we're basically trying to emulate wooden lures using plastic. And yeah, so what we know so far is to be able to emulate balsa wood, which is required for a tiny lure, we need to have a density of 0.2, or I basically took the middle here because balsa could be 0.1, could be 0.2. So let's say 0.2 grams per cubic centimeters. And that would be 0.4 grams for this specific lure, which is kind of not feasible. So we're looking into some lightweight filaments, and they say that these are 45% lighter than regular filaments, and you can actually control the density by increasing the temperature. So the way they work is when you heat up the plastic or when you melt it, it will basically, the bigger the temperature, the more it will foam. It will become some sort of a foam. So it will increase in volume. And you can see here that the volume will go from 100% to 200% at 280 degrees Celsius. So that's half, almost half, or 45% the volume per weight, like or weight per volume. So initially it was 0.9 grams per cubic centimeters, and here it's 0.45 grams per cubic centimeter. But what's the catch, right? The catch is that the layer adhesion, if we go down here somewhere, I think they write what is the layer adhesion. Yes, the layer adhesion, it is very low, like 3.44. Here they are comparing it to other types of like a lightweight PLA or wood PLA, which is an aesthetic filament, but this is super low. So if we try to do a lure like this, it will just split in half. Like you can split it in half with your hand just doing that. So yeah, it will solve our issue, but we can no longer do the lure like this, like we used to do in PLA. So what we need to do is now we need to split the lure in half, print the two halves, and then assemble it later using a through wire, and that might actually work. But I'm gonna have to test that. So how do we achieve this? Oh, come on. Use lightweight filament, split the lure in half, and make it a through wire. So this might actually work. And basically this is the goal. These are the goals for the 3 centimeter crankbait. But that's not always the case. Like this is an edge case because other types of wood won't work with a tiny lure like this one. So yeah, you can see like once we open other lures, it's gonna be a different story. You can probably do it in the same material. Let's see, what lure do we want to talk about? Let's go by, can we sort here? We cannot sort. Interesting. 45 mil, 70% popper. Okay, actually, where are the ones that we recently did? Xander swim bait, trout wobbler, traditional wobbler, topwater walker, pike swim bait. Now that's a big one. Okay, this one is, no, not this one. Where was it? This one. This one I want to do because I actually printed this one and I took it fishing, but I didn't do my research. And I didn't do all these calculations, so it didn't work at all. And this is a good opportunity for me to try and fix it. And I think Blender froze. Let's read some comments. John is saying, hi, my week was good. One book behind me and some in real life stuff and some new ideas. What I want to model, so I'm a happy man. Oh, glad to hear that. Yeah, I had it's my week wasn't that bad, but I'm trying to make a video. It's not working out. The lure is just not working. By the way, I'm making this lure, which we were just talking about a second ago, and yeah, I think according to these calculations, and according to some research, this is the only way I can make it work, is to buy some lightweight filament, split it in half and make it a through wire. But we'll see. I have it right here. Let me show it to you. It's actually super tiny. I think I need to enable autofocus. Yeah. So if it focuses on it, it's a super tiny lure. I haven't assembled it yet. This is where I'm planning to put the weight. But yeah, it's not working yet. So it floats. So this goal is achieved to make it float, but it's not having a good action, and that usually happens when the plastic is too heavy, so the density of the plastic is too high and the weight that you put in is too low. So once I'm able to reduce the weight of the plastic to 0.4, then these 0.4 grams that we saved, we can actually introduce again as weight, as like lead, and then it's gonna have action. It's gonna be a lot more stable. Okay, so what was the name of this one? The Grubtail Glide. Grubtail Glide. So this one should be a slow sinker, and it should be no, not as light as balsa. Let's say density goal. I would be happy with 0.4 grams per cubic centimeter, which is this is basically the density of, what was it called, basswood, I think, and pine and these stuff. Pine might be heavier, but yeah, basswood for sure is 0.4 grams. So let's do some measurements. First of all, we want the plastic volume and the total volume. So the plastic volume is, as we said, with all the holes and everything, that's going to be the volume of the plastic. So all these holes and even the lead holes. So we measure the volume, and it's about, oh, I'm still in full cam. Wow. Thank you, John. So yeah, again, the plastic volume is the volume of the lure plus all the holes. So that's going to be 54.7. That's a big lure. 54.7 total volume. To calculate it, I'm going to have to delete all of these. It's going to take a while though. Let's see, is it going to take a while? Yeah. By the way, what do you guys think about maybe some, because I don't want to keep making a lure on every Friday for many reasons. One of them is that like at this point I have 10 or 20 lures that I haven't even tested. So I'm a bit overwhelmed with testing the lures and doing all these calculations and actually printing them, going to the water and then coming back, do changes. And the second of all, maybe we can do something fun. Like for example, what we're doing right now, something educational. And what I can also do, but this would require this has some technical limitations. like how do I connect the camera and the mic and everything. If we do a live stream on the workbench where I'm actually assembling the lure and painting it, that's something I've been thinking about for a while, but I don't have the equipment yet to do it. I could technically do it from my phone, but we'll see. I just wanted to know what you guys think about it. Okay, so the total volume, it shouldn't be very different, but yeah, it's 59.5. So yeah, there's about 5 grams of different, 5 cubic centimeters, sorry. Okay, so let's see. It should be a slow sinker, right? So should be a slow sinker. How to achieve that? Total weight, total assembled weight with hooks should be around 60 grams. So let's say 60 to maybe 61 grams or 62 grams, not more. Something like that. This will give us a total density of around 1. So that's going to be like 1.01, 1.05, something like that. And then it's going to be a slow sinker. We can test this, of course, like go for 60 and then go for 62 and see how it goes. The problem is you can't actually go for a precise number because you don't know how much the clear coat will weigh. It could weigh 1 grams, it could weigh 2, or it could weigh 4. So there are some things that you can measure, some things that you don't. You're gonna have to do some trial and error. So density goal of 0.4 grams. This is the plastic actually. Plastic density, not density goal. So I wanted the plastic to be 0.4 grams. So we know that the plastic volume is this. And if we multiply this by 0.4, we want the plastic to weigh 21.8. So let's say 22. Let's call it 22. So plastic body should weigh 22 grams. And now if I open this project, I think I have it somewhere. Wait. Let's revert this to how it was. Yeah, I would love to see some paint streams. Nice. I'm actually considering it. And I was about to do one using my phone, but then I thought about like all the audio issues and stuff like this, because I can't use this microphone with my phone. I can technically if I buy something, but then I need to like keep moving things around. I can use this on my phone, but I need a cable. I don't have it, so I need to find it somewhere. But anyways, it's doable. It is doable. Where is this lure? This one. Okay, let's see. We want the plastic to weigh 22 grams for it to be as heavy as wood. And how much does it weigh? Let's see. So this is how I printed it the last time. I was in a hurry. I want it to be strong, so I have like 3 wall loops, 20% infill. I was like, this is a big lure. It's gonna be fine, right? Let's see how much did it weigh. 40 grams. Wow. 40 grams. So I basically, what I did is I made it 0.7 grams per cubic centimeter. So I made it as hard as one of the hardest wood you can buy, like oak or something. But we want it to be light, right? So we want it to be 22 grams. So first of all, I would change this to a 0.4 nozzle. Let's use modified value for now. And resync. What else? I'm gonna try using PETG, and we'll see if that doesn't work. Then we'll switch back to ABS or BLA. So now, from just by switching from 0.6 to 0.4, it should become lighter. So let's see how much lighter. 30 grams. So it could be lighter. So you see only 3 walls with 20% gyroid infill, and it's already too heavy. It's just too heavy. That's why it's hard to make 3D printed lures work. It's just hard. It's a struggle because we don't actually think about these stuff. And even me myself, I didn't think about these stuff. What I usually think about is, oh, I have the total volume. The total volume is like 60. So as long as it's less or around 60, I'm fine. No, it's not like that. So if we keep the 3 walls for strength and use 10% infill, we get 25 grams. And by the way, I'm planning on making a video about these, like how much the wall loops or the infill affect the actual strength of the lure, and also the materials and stuff. I have a scale, and we're gonna destroy some lures. It's gonna be awesome. I'm super excited for it. We can probably go less, like 5% infill, because I would rather reduce the infill than the wall loops, and I could even set it to 0. Now we have 19 grams. So yeah, but is that a good idea, or is using 20 here with 2 walls a better idea? This is what we're gonna figure out in the video I'm planning to release later. But in terms of density, it's doable. It's easy to do it on a big lure like this one than a tiny lure. Yeah, and that's how we can do it. 23 grams, and then we can add weight here plus the like screw eyes and everything to make it what was it? It should be a slow sinker to make it 60 or 62 grams. Yeah, give me a second. But yeah, if you can imagine, like, this lure is very big. That's like 120. So that's 12 centimeters. And I had to reduce the number of walls to 2 to make it work as I want it to work. So that's insane. That's why making 3D printing tiny lures is sometimes kind of feel impossible. But yeah, nothing is impossible, at least to me. What the hell happened here? I just learned a Blender shortcut by mistake. So Alt-Z usually enables transparency, but if you do Alt-Shift-Z or Z, it turns the grid on and off, and even these. It's fun when you learn stuff by mistake. Okay, what other lure do we want to do? So eventually all my lures will have some sort of a, I don't want to call it spreadsheet, or I might even do a mobile app for this. But yeah, something like this. And I will calculate the weight and everything based on some parameters. So what other lures do we want to do? 70 mil popper. My guess is bigger. Infill would be stronger. In press force and pull, it could be close. Now, usually based on videos that I watched about the wall loops and the infill and strength, usually wall loops is the biggest factor, but only up to 3, I remember. And then 4 and over, it doesn't make a difference. But if you go from 1 to 2 to 3, there's a huge difference in strength. And then infill, it was also up to like 20%, something like that. Or from 20, the only way to get like actually stronger, like a lot stronger, is 100%. Like anything in between doesn't make any sense. Anyways, we'll see. We're gonna do some testing soon. Subscribe. Chop swim bait. This is a good one. But it's 2 parts and 140% wobbler. Okay, this is a big lure. But we want something challenging, something small. Okay, this one. This one is challenging. Come on, it's gonna take some time. Now for when we're talking about like the strength of the lure, the biggest issue is gonna be layer adhesion, especially with the way I print lures, which is this way, standing up, or sometimes diagonal like this, going this way. And layer adhesion is the biggest issue. If I'm printing them something like that, where it's split in half and then glued together later with a through wire, it's gonna be more than 10 times or 20 times stronger. But we're gonna sacrifice quality. Emre Oskara, hello. I hope I pronounced your name right. Sorry if I didn't. Okay, cool. So this is actually a bait that I struggled to get some action from it. So I was able to get some action from it, but I'm not super happy with it. It works. It kind of works if the water is still, but if the water is moving, I don't know, it wants to do this, like move sideways somehow. So I'm guessing it's because of the density, and actually I'm pretty sure it's because of the density. So let's see. Let's save this. Oh, and by the way, we didn't check something for this one. Like we wanted to be 22 grams, right? But we had to reduce the wall loops to 2, which is not optimal. But what if we switch to PLA? So now we're in PLA. Let's see. So we have 22 grams. Okay, it was something like 23, now it's 22. So PLA, PETG, there's no big difference. But once I switch to ABS, I'm sure there's gonna be a big difference here. 18 grams. So now if I increase this to 3, yeah, we're at 22 grams and we have 3 wall loops. But is this actually stronger than the PLA or the PETG? We'll figure that out in the video, but I doubt it. I think the PLA is going to be stronger, especially with layer adhesion. But I'm not sure about the 2 versus 3 wall loops. We need to figure that out later. I'm trying to manufacture lure with resin mold and manual desktop injection machine. Do you have any recommendation on this way to me? Oh wow, man, I thought about this um a while ago, but it wasn't worth it for me to go through all this trouble. But I do understand the benefits of injection molding. It's um the way you design the lure though is going to be completely different, because the design process is going to be a lot more complicated than just 3D printing. You don't think about it much. Like you don't think about like, oh, I'm designing this to be FDM printed. But if you're designing something for injection molding, then that's a completely different story. But if I were to do it, I would probably print it inject it in two halves, similar to how they actually make lures. So if you check any factory how they do lures, um, they do it in two halves that are hollow with a shell thickness of something like 1 mil or 2 mils, maybe even less. And yeah, then you glue them together. And I think most of them use ABS. But yeah, let's do this ID lure. So again, what is our goal? We want this one actually to be, let's say, a fast sinker, right? Because it's a lipless crankbait. And let's say the plastic density. So here, basically, we're thinking about what kind of, if we were doing this using wood, what kind of wood would we use, like hardwood or softwood? I think for lipless crankbait, we would probably use a hardwood. So I would go with 0.4 or 0.5. Let's say 0.5 for this one. And yeah, let's do some specs. So what is the plastic volume of this one? Let's see. Come on, it's 11.9. So that's 11.9 cubic centimeters. And the total volume, this is gonna be without all these holes. So let's start removing them. But yeah, injection molding is it's nice to have, but I don't know if it's worth all this trouble, to be honest. And also thinking about it, or thinking about like the smell that's gonna be in the house and everything. I don't know if you have all of this figured out. But I didn't. That's why I didn't go. I didn't investigate it more. But I saw lots of videos on YouTube on people injecting plastic in their house, and apparently it works. And what happened to the music? Where's my Christmas music? Where are we? Here. Okay, what else? We have 2 left. Okay, and we're done. So, what's the volume of the total outer shell? It's 12.7. 12.7. So, it should be a fast sinker. Here. So total assembled weight should be, or actually let's copy the entire thing. So total assembled weight should be, to be a fast sinker, let's say this is 13, 14, 15 to, I don't know, 20 grams, something like that, to make it a fast sinker. So the plastic density, we want it to be 0.5. And we know that the plastic volume is 11.9. So we want half of that. and we want the plastic to only be 5.95 grams. So it shouldn't be more than that. And then all this additional weight will be basically the hardware, the hooks, and the clear coat. And then we can figure out. So once we have, let's say the clear coat is 2 grams, right? Or yeah, let's say it's 2. The hardware plus the hooks is additional 2. So that's 4 grams. And I want it to be, let's say 18. And we already have 4, so I want to add 4 grams as weight to the lure. So we need to open that file. Open project. No, there's no need to save. Discard. Where is the ID? It should be here somewhere. 0.2 millimeter nozzle, or it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's first measure the plastic. And first, let me see, 0.4 nozzle. Is this PETG? We're using PETG. Let's switch to ABS because it's lighter. And let's see the weight. It's gonna take a while. This is a big file. It has like millions of triangles. So the weight is 6.9 grams, and we want the weight to be 5.9. So it's not far off. 5.9, we can probably do that by just reducing the infill by 10%, by 5%, maybe even less than that. So model filament 6.59, huh? Did it? That's confusing. Oh, okay. It did decrease, but it didn't decrease by that much. So here we probably have to, yeah, it's a narrow object, so it doesn't have much infill anyways. One thing we can do is remove these by coming here and changing the minimum sparse infill threshold to 0, and this should give us a bit of plastic back. And then I think the only way to do this is by reducing the wall loops. So that's 5.6. Now we can increase the infill a bit. Just do 20. No, now we can do 18, I guess. Yeah. And now we have 5.8 grams, which is very close to what we're looking for. Now, can we achieve this? That's the question. We said we want to add 4 grams. That's going to be a challenge to add 4 grams in this very slim body, but it's doable. So yeah, basically that's the process. First of all, identify what do we want our lure to do. Like, it should be a fast sinker, a slow sinker, and maybe later I can actually turn these into numbers. Of course, after testing and stuff. Like, for example, fast sinker is gonna have a total density of 1.2 grams per cubic centimeter, and then a slow sinker is gonna have a density of 1.05 or 1.1 grams per cubic centimeter. Of course, a suspending lure has to be 1. And then the same for slow and super slow sinkers. And then based on these parameters, we can figure out the exact, so not a range, but the exact number that it has to be for it to work as we want. Yeah. I should probably turn this into an app. So so I can log everything. And then imagine, like, because I usually do like this, for example, this is the 13th iteration of this lure. So I can keep track of these, like which one worked better. Oh, 11 worked better than 12. Okay, so we go back to 11 and then do an iteration from there. That would be awesome. But yeah, I had this idea, by the way, just before the live stream, because I didn't know what to do, what lure to do. And then I was like, okay, why is this crankbait not working? Like, I tried everything, it just doesn't work. And then I figured out, okay, when they do make a crankbait like this, they use balsa wood. And then I looked for the density of balsa wood, and then I looked at the density of my lure, and oh my god, that's probably why it's not working. It's because my lure is way heavier than balsa wood. Double prop. Okay, for example, this one was not... Okay, actually, this one worked really well. And let's see... let's see the density of it and the plastic density and why it works well. Maybe it has something to do with the density, maybe not, but we'll see. What was it called? It's called the Crankbait June 16. This is the first crankbait of the year. And this is the last one I made with a 0.2 mil nozzle. So let's see. Why is it... Okay, now it's working. Let's see the weight. First of all, the volume of the plastic. Is there a way to find center of mass in Blender? Okay, so I don't know if this is actually the center of mass, but depending on what you mean, like, do you want the center of mass after you add the weight or before? So if it's just center of mass of the plastic itself, like the lure body itself, then you can go to object, set origin, origin to geometry, and then you're gonna see this yellow... Wait, what happened? It's gonna take some time. This is a big file. Come on, Blender. First of all, thank you for responding. I definitely try to do that with 2 different molds for each lure, and surely if I do that for myself, it should be with a 3D printer. I'm trying to do this as a social entrepreneur. The project is about manufacturing lure for restricted access fishing towns in Africa. I know it's a hard thing to do, but for now it's a challenge for me. I'm learning a lot of things on this way. Even if I can't make it happen, it's worth for me. All the best for you. Wow. I like the idea. Again, I do like the idea of injection molding. That would save me lots of time. Like, imagine 3D printing 10 lures and assembling them and everything. With injection molding, you can do a lot more. But yeah, all the best to you too, and I hope that you're gonna make amazing lures. So John, this dot right here is basically like the center of... I don't know if it's not called center of mass. I think center of... there are center of mass and center of gravity. It's one of them. But yeah, it's here. Okay, what was the volume? Did I calculate it, or this is an old value? 8.8. So plastic weighs 8.8. Or the the volume of the plastic is 8.8. Let's see how much it weighs. This is 5.7 divided by 8.8. It's 0.6. So this is very heavy. But I doubt this is how I printed it, because I remember I used a 0.2 nozzle and now it changed to a 0.4. It's very interesting. 0.4 nozzle, 2 walls, and 18%. But anyways, 5.7, that's too heavy. So I would probably switch to a 0.2 nozzle on this one, and then change the wall loops to 3 maybe, and keep the infill at 18. Let's see how it will work out. Wow, what happened? I don't know why is this a big file. It's a very simple lure. It has like 1,000,000 faces. Why though? Okay, I know why it's taking this much time. Because the layer height... Come on, force quit. Yeah. For some reason, the layer height was set to 0.06. So there's probably like 1,000,000 layers. I would print this at 0.12. It's a big lure. 5.4 still. Okay, so 3. This is gonna be, let's say, rectilinear. 4.8 divided by 8.8. Still too much, because I want this to be a slow sinker. Like, wow. We're using 3 walls on a 0.2 nozzle. That's insane. Need to reduce it even more. You see, that's why 3D printed lures are just hard to make. So 4.4 divided by what was the total? 8.8. That's exactly half. So that's still similar to a very hard wood, which in this case I think it might work, because I actually tested this and it works really well without doing all these calculations. Yeah, but if I want this to be similar to basswood, for example, which is 0.4, so that's 8.8 multiplied by 0.4. I want this to be 3.5 grams. So I would probably use ABS here. And how much did I say was it? 3.5. Yeah. That would work. That will give it... That will boost the action, basically. Even though it does have a good action, now it's gonna get boosted even more. Good to know. Yeah, I think that's all for today. So we're not gonna make any lure today, but I'll try maybe by next Friday. Maybe I'll have a streaming setup on the other desk, and then we can paint a bunch of these lures, because I love this one and I lost all of them. So maybe we can print... I could print like 4 or 5 of this one, and then we can paint them and assemble them and have fun. So yeah, that's all for today. Thank you guys for watching, and if you have any questions or you want to follow up, check my Discord server. It's in the description. Hopefully I have it in the description. Let me check. It's also in my channel about info, but yeah, it is in the description. Okay, we'll be looking for rent a stream. Okay, I get what you mean, but it's a weird sentence. Okay. Bye bye everyone. Have a nice weekend and see you later.